Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Everybody outside, request you all to come in, please. We are about to start. And a small, humble request. Since today is all about conversations. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Many times we don't have it. But everybody outside, request you all to come in, please. All of you all we are about to start. To kindly and a small, humble request. I know since today is all about conversations, kindly put your mobiles. Many times we don't have it or silent mode. But since today is all about conversations, and if you I request all of you all to kindly put your mobiles. WhatsApp and text messages. I know it's the heart and soul, but kindly put your mobiles on vibration or silent mode. And I request. And if you truly want to connect with people, converse. Please don't use your WhatsApp and text messages. So please bear with us. In a couple of minutes, we'll be starting off. And I request again. Whoever's outside, could you kindly get inside, please? The volunteers, kindly tell everybody to come in. Thank Another you so 2 minutes, we'll be starting off, ladies and gentlemen. My request again is whoever's outside, if you can hear me, or the volunteers, kindly tell everybody to come in. Thank you so much.
SIP Academy's 20-year legacy is a testament to transforming lives. Because we believe everyone has the potential to be extraordinary, and we are here to ignite it. With a strong presence across 11 countries, SIP Academy's impact is not limited by borders. As we actively participate in India's remarkable growth story, we are proud to play a critical role in enhancing the skills of the next generation.
Transforming lives. Transforming lives. Transforming lives. Transforming lives.
SIP Academy, committed to transforming lives.
Swami Vivekanand Subharti University, one of the leading universities of North India. 250 acres campus, 220 plus professional and vocational programs, 20,000 plus students, state-of-the-art infrastructure. Come and give wings to your career with Swami Vivekanand Subharti University, where education is a passion. NH 58, Meerut, Delhi, NCR.
Welcome to an institute where tradition combines with modernity, where innovation surmounts challenges, where knowledge emanates from research, where excellence is achieved and not pursued. Welcome to J.D. Birla Institute. This is the place where students find true mentors, create bonds for life, tread the path to succeed, and discover truth in learning. Over 50 years in the service to higher education. Our objectives have been to acquire academic knowledge and perfect professional skills in the pursuit of academic excellence, aimed at advancement into higher education, research and extension activities. Our objective is also to avail a dynamic system structured towards varied professional and vocational applications for career design and development. Our objectives focus on developing team spirit and attainment of self-reliance, making pupils future ready. The journey began in the year 1962 when late Sushila Devi Birla, wife of eminent industrialist late Sri Ellen Birla, established a college for girls in her mother-in-law's name, Srimati Jawahari Devi Birla. From its humble beginnings, today the institute has been ranked amongst the best places of higher learning in the country by several rating agencies, including India Today, which has ranked its BCom and BBA as number 1 in Kolkata, and by The Week, that has ranked these two courses as number 2 in Kolkata. The BBA course is among the top 10 in the country. In 2010, JDBI was awarded the highest possible grading of A by the NAAC Assessment and Accreditation Council, the only private college affiliated to Jadavpur University. The institute is spread across 2 campuses. The main campus, an all-women's campus on Lower Rawdon Street, offers UG and PG courses in food science and nutrition management, textile science, clothing and fashion studies, interior design, human development and commerce. The management co-educational campus on Moira Street hosts the Department of Management. The infrastructure of the college has state-of-the-art learning facilities. Effective teaching and learning environment is fostered through technology-supported methodology. Large lecture rooms with air conditioning and LCD projectors provide conducive learning environment. The Wi-Fi campus has impressive computer-student ratio in the 3 computer laboratories with LAN connectivity. Required state-of-the-art laboratories suited to the different course requirements are available. 250-seater convention center, a seminar hall and an audiovisual room are available for college seminars and special lectures. The Learning Resource Centers, LRC, at the 2 campuses are completely automated with an impressive collection of over 30,000 learning resources, including books, journals, and reference materials. The Open Access LRC offers several other facilities, including borrowing, OPAC facilities, reprographic facility, place a book order, and access to other public libraries. Well-qualified and dedicated teaching faculty at the Institute prepare students to face the challenges of a global environment.
It's one of the finest educational institutions, not just in India or Asia, but in the world. मैंने यहाँ की वास्तु देखी है, मैं यहाँ का जनून देखा है, यहाँ की commitment देखी है, and let me tell you that I'm very, very impressed. इस जन्म में नहीं हो सका, लेकिन अगले जन्म में I'd like to be associated with this wonderful institution.
Placement assistance is provided to all students, and 2 specialized placement officers at the 2 campuses look into the campusing. Some well-known companies where our students are placed include ITC Limited, TCS, Wipro Limited, Deloitte, PricewaterhouseCoopers, Ernst & Young, Godrej Properties, Accenture, amongst many others. The college-aided internship in the final year is the USP of all our programs. Annual educational excursions and graduating fashion shows provide experiential learning. A variety of co-curricular and extracurricular activities are offered throughout the year to help students develop their personalities, widen their perspectives, and gain hands-on experience and lifetime learning. Don't miss the opportunity to join one of the finest institutes in Eastern India. Join J.D. Birla Institute. Open a world of opportunities, of possibilities. Achieve and succeed.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. A warm welcome tonight. Such an amazing crowd, I must say, and a warm welcome to all the ladies and gents tonight, because it's very, very special. It's all about conversations. Now these days, how many of us do have conversations? I think if there was a nomenclature called text stations or something to do with text, I think the modality of WhatsApp would work well. But once again, a warm welcome to you, admissiontree.in Conversations 2023, an ABP initiative. Ladies and gentlemen, think back. A simple conversation can connect hearts. A simple conversation can be a guiding light. A simple conversation can make a difference in a lot of people. And if we reflect back the good old days, everything used to be about conversation. Today, it's a little different. So there's a lot going to be discussed, a lot going to be conversed, and I'm sure tonight we will experience a lot of conversations right here. And I think it's a beautiful topic for tonight. So let's look forward to all the excitement, and once again a warm welcome to all of you all. And no night, starts off without some music. And that's what people like us are all about. Where there's music, there's a soul. Where there's music, there's a smile. Where there's music, there's happiness. And where there's music also, plenty of conversations. Trust me. So ladies and gentlemen, without much ado, I have a young gentleman who's going to be taking the mic and welcoming our next lot of amazing performers from the Calcutta School of Music. But before that, the Calcutta School of Music is one of the premier institutions in India. It was established in the year 1915 by Philippe Sandra, a musician of considerable caliber and a contemporary and friend of the famous composer Saint-Saëns. It is probably the only school in the country which has such a wide-ranging canvas of music disciplines covering both Indian and Western classical and contemporary music, dance, drama, and speech. Wow! You know, when I just hear the Calcutta School of Music, I think music, but it's across. So, ladies and gentlemen, without much delay, I would like to call Orjoy Sen, my young friend from the Calcutta School of Music, to kindly take the mic.
Good evening, everyone. The Calcutta School of Music will now represent some outstanding pieces of music performed by their talented students. I am Arjav Sen, proud student of the Institute and your anchor for this evening. The Calcutta School of Music, a 108-year-old institution, has a long tradition for promoting the learning and awareness of Western and Indian music in the city of Kolkata. The school prides itself in setting standards of musical excellence in the city as well as the eastern zone of the country. We will begin this evening's program with Country Etude composed by Tatiana Stachek. Tatiana Stachek is a fantastic composer. She is a guitarist and an educator too. Her pieces are very melodious and a joy to play. The following piece is Parisian Waltz, composed by also Tatiana Stachek. Waltz is both a dance and a song form popular in the Romantic era and beyond, especially in Vienna, one of the leading musical centers of Europe. Tatiana Stachek has won many national and international guitar competitions. Her experience in working with children has led to the publication of numerous educational titles for beginners and intermediate guitarists alike. Following that piece is Spanish Guitar Blues, composed by Charlie Byrd. Charlie Lee Byrd was an American jazz guitarist. He was best known for his association with Brazilian music, especially bossa nova. Blues is the basis of jazz music, so as a great enthusiast of jazz music, love to play this piece. All these three pieces will be performed by Himagna Roy on the guitar. Please join me to welcome Himagna Roy. Thank you, Himagna. A minuet is a social dance of French origin, usually for two people in 3/4 time. The score in question is known as Minuet in G and is found in a notebook Bach gifted to his second wife, Anna Magdalena. Originally thought to be an original composition of Bach, it has, since 1970, been discovered to be the work of Christian Petzold. Raya Chaki will be performing this composition on the violin while being accompanied by a pre-recorded piano track. Please join me to welcome Raya Chaki. Thank you, Raya. Our last performer of this part of the program, Swamantak Mukherjee, will be performing Amazing Grace on the keyboard. Amazing Grace was first published in 1779. It was written by the English poet and Anglican clergyman John Newton. Newton began writing its now famous lyrics in 1773 in order to illustrate a sermon he was giving on New Year's Day. The hauntingly beautiful song, Amazing Grace, is a popular choice for Catholic funerals and church services alike. This moving hymn is a powerful and appropriate testament to faith and the power of grace, even when coping with the loss of a loved one. It's also a very suitable hymn for a wedding as the words focus on God's grace and knowing that He is with us at all times. Please join me to welcome Swamantak Mukherjee. enjoyed the recitals and look forward to many more such memorable evenings in the future. Thank you and have a great evening. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you, Swamantak. And that brings us to the end of this part of the program. We do hope you enjoyed the recitals and look forward to many more such
thank you.
memorable evenings in the future.
What a stupendous
Thank you and
performance,
have a
ladies
great
and gentlemen.
evening.
And what a lovely conversation I was having, at the backstage with these children. They were rock stars in themselves, and Calcutta School of Music. Truly, truly amazing. Thank you so much.
Hello.
Amazing talent
thank
it
you.
is. And, what a stupendous performance,
our
ladies
small
and
way,
gentlemen.
we would like to
And
really
what a
salute
lovely
these
conversation
young
I was having,
Masterios.
and at the backstage with these
Felicitating
children.
them, I would like to call on Mr. Dinesh
They were rock
Victor,
stars in
MD,
themselves, and
SIP
Calcutta
Academy,
School of Music.
and Dr.
Truly,
Paramita
truly
Mishra,
amazing. Thank you
VP
so much.
Academics,
Amazing
the
talent it is.
Orchid
And,
International School.
in
So
our
nice to have you
small
with us.
way,
Thank
we would
you.
like to really salute these young Masterios. And for felicitating them, I would like to call on Mr. Dinesh Victor, MD,
And ladies and
SIP
gentlemen,
Academy.
I think it's time
and
to
Dr.
give our little
Paramita Mishra,
Masterios
VP
a
Academics,
big hand.
Orchid International
very
School.
honest,
So nice
at
to have
this
you with us.
age,
Thank you. I wouldn't be able to even start playing on stage front of such a huge crowd. And ladies and gentlemen, I think it's time to give our little Masterios a big hand. To start a beautiful evening. To be very honest, and I'm sure there'll be a lot of at this age tonight. I wouldn't be able to even start playing on stage front of such a huge crowd. Hey, all you youngsters, I want you to smile here. I've been told that small little boy
Congratulations
with glasses never
once again.
smiles. What a beautiful way to start a
doing that
beautiful
today.
evening. And I'm sure there'll be a lot of conversations tonight. Hey, all you youngsters, I want you to smile here. I've
Big
been
hand,
told
ladies
that
and gentlemen.
small little boy with glasses never smiles. He's doing that today. A big hand, ladies and gentlemen. थोड़ा सा आवाज अच्छा रहता है. Thank you. Move to a little bit side. Okay, all you young ones, you're going to do a lot of weightlifting today, I promise you. Ladies and gentlemen, थोड़ा सा आवाज अच्छा रहता है. Thank you. Okay, all you young ones, you're going to do a lot of weightlifting today, I promise you. Well, thank you, our young Masterios, and thank you, sir, ma'am. It was. You're requested to stay on stage because there's going to be a photo session, I've been told. Hoigache? Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Well, thank you, our young Masterios, and thank you, sir, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir, and thank you, our young Masterios. You have these beautiful ladies to help you out. You're requested to stay on stage because there's going to be a photo session, I've been told. Hoigache? Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. I would like to call on Mr. Dhruva Mukherjee, CEO. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir. And thank you, our young Masterios. Amazing occasion. You have these beautiful ladies to help you out. Oh, you don't want them. It's okay to help you out. And now, ladies and gentlemen, an amazing night it is.
Thank you, Jimmy,
and I would
and,
like to call on Mr. Dhruva
good evening and a very
Mukherjee,
warm welcome to all
CEO,
of you.
ABP Private
I'd
Limited,
like to
to
start off
kindly
by
say a few words
apologizing
on
for
this
starting
amazing
this program
occasion.
a bit late, but for the first time in my life, I found some principals and teachers arriving late. And if I go back to my student
Thank you,
years, I was
Jimmy,
actually
and,
filled with a mischievous joy.
good evening and a very warm welcome
Learning
to all
from
of
my
you.
generous teachers, we have
I'd like
decided
to start
we'll
off
not
by
mark you
apologizing
absent,
for
that you
starting
were.
this program a bit late.
But thank you for bearing with us.
For the
and
first
we,
time in my life,
will
I
go
found
straight into
some
the program.
principals and teachers arriving
I'm
late.
very happy, as
And if
Jimmy
I go
said,
back
that
to my
admission
student
we
years, I
chose
was actually filled with a
conversation
mischievous joy.
as a name of the
And
event.
learning
because
from my generous teachers, we have
given the
decided
digital
we'll
world
not
we are
mark you
living in,
absent.
It's all about
Let you
posts,
in.
like, share, reels.
But thank you for
And I
bearing
think
with us, and
increasingly
we
we are losing
will go straight into the program and
losing the art of
I'm
having
very happy,
meaningful
as Jimmy
conversation.
said, that
Hopefully
Admission Tree
this
chose
evening will
conversation
trigger
as a,
some of them.
as a
And
name of the event,
topic
because
that Admission Tree has chosen
given
for
the
this,
digital world we are
evening
living
is
in,
to
it's all about
challenge and to
posts,
change.
like, share,
I think
reels.
it's a very
And
meaningful
I think
topic. I mean,
increasingly we are
last
losing
few years, this word change has been used and
losing the
abused like
art of
anything.
having meaningful conversation.
At every drop of a hat
Hopefully,
you
this evening
hear
will
this word
trigger
change.
some of them.
But the fact is
topic that Admission Tree has
the
chosen for
irony of
this
change is every
evening
time
is to challenge and
an
to change.
opportunity to change
I think it's a
arises,
very meaningful
it is
topic. I
accompanied
mean,
by
last
what
few
the
years,
McKinsey
this
guys
word
call
change has
change
been used and
paradox.
abused like anything.
That is to say that anything
every
that
drop of a
triggers
hat you
uncertainty
hear
or
this word
fear
change.
creates a fear of the unknown.
But the fact is that
immediately,
the
as
irony
human
of
beings,
change
we go
is
into
every
a shell,
time
we get
an
into our
opportunity
comfort
to
zone,
change
and we
arises,
become
it is
risk-averse and
accompanied
change
by
aversive.
what the
So
McKinsey guys
change
call
is
the
always
change
accompanied
paradox.
by change,
That is to
paradox,
say,
and
anything
the
that
challenge
triggers
is
uncertainty
how do we overcome
or
that paradox
creates a
and
fear of the
actually
unknown.
implement change? I think
Immediately,
somewhere
as
the
human
education
beings, we
sector
go
has
into a
also gone through
shell,
a lot of
we get into our
turbulence,
comfort
and
zone,
with NEP
and we
and
become risk
NCF and
aversive
all
and
these
change
things, so a
aversive.
lot of changes are
So
on
change
the
is
anvil.
always
So
accompanied by
it'll be
change,
interesting to hear from our
paradox,
panelists
and the
tonight,
challenge is how do we
how
overcome
these
that
changes will
paradox
play out and how
actually
the
implement
sector
change.
will overcome
I
the
think
change
somewhere
paradox
the
to make it a
education sector
meaningful
has
one.
also gone through a lot of turbulence.
Challenge is another
and
word,
with
very
NEP and
interesting word,
NCF
that
and
we
all
hear
these
about.
things, a
Last
lot
few
of
months we are
changes are
reading a lot
on the
about
anvil.
how
So
the
it'll be
students
interesting
are
to hear from our
expected,
panelists tonight
to,
how these
change
changes
their
will
way
play
of
out
giving
and how
examination, change their
the
way of
sector will
learning, the
overcome the
challenges
change
for
paradox
student
to
to
make it a
actually move
meaningful
into an
one.
assessment, which is
Challenge
more
is
about,
another word, very interesting word that we hear about. Last few
application of
months we are
learning
reading a
than
lot
learning
about
itself.
how
And
the
it'll
students
be
are
interesting
expected
today in the panel discussion to understand
change
how the
their way of
teachers
giving
and the
examination,
educators
change their way
are
of
gearing
learning.
up
The
for the
challenge
challenge,
is
because
for
just like
student
students
to
have to
actually move
change,
into an
to
assessment,
application
which
of
is
learning.
more about
I think the mode of learning or the way the
application of
learning is
learning
imparted
than
by
learning
the teachers
itself.
will also have to,
And it will be interesting
change
today in the
terms of
panel
how
discussion to
they can
understand
gear up the
how the
students to
teachers and
fit
the
into this new
educators
era of
are gearing up for the challenge,
And,
because just like
we have a
students have to
very,
change
very,
to application of
diverse and
learning,
inclusive
I think
panel up here tonight for you,
the mode of
which is the
learning
very
or the way
next
the
session.
learning is imparted
We
by
have
the teachers
asked
will
all
also
the
have to
speakers to speak from their
change
heart.
in terms of how
And just to
they
ensure
can
their
gear
heart
up the
is in the right
students to
place, we have
fit into
got
this
the
new era
country's
of
foremost
assessment.
cardiothoracic
And
surgeon as the
we have a
moderator of
very,
this
very
event. And he'll ensure
diverse
that
and
none of the
inclusive
speakers
panel up here
and
tonight
none of
for
us
you,
in the audience
which is the very next
miss a
session.
heartbeat,
We have asked all the speakers to speak from their heart.
Moving on,
And just to ensure their heart is in the right place, we have got the country's foremost cardiothoracic surgeon as the moderator of this event. And he'll ensure that none of the speakers and none of us in the audience
many of us have
miss
read
a
or heard about
heartbeat
this
or
book,
skip
The
a
Monk Who
heartbeat.
Sold a Ferrari. I don't know whether he has a Ferrari or
Moving
he
on,
sold it.
I
But
just
definitely,
the other session which I think
he is
all of
one
you are
who's
eagerly
touched
looking
our
forward
soul.
to will be
as a
followed
monk,
soon after the panel
I think
discussion, and
all
that's
of us during
the
COVID
discourse by
started
Shri
getting in our
Gopal
WhatsApp
Das,
groups
and
these small clips,
many of
and
us
then
have
we
read or
started
heard
liking
about
him,
this
and
book,
then we
The
started
Monk Who
following
Sold a
him,
Ferrari. I don't know
and,
whether he has a Ferrari
very
or he
soon
sold
all
it,
of us became a
but
fan of him.
definitely
Every
he's
time
one
he
who's touched our
left
soul.
us with his
As
straight
a
and
monk,
simple wisdom,
I
he
think
left us
all
with
of
a
us during
smile, and he
COVID
left us with a
started
thought,
getting in our
and I
WhatsApp
don't
groups
think
these
this
small
evening will
clips,
be any
and then we started
different.
liking
We all look
him, and then
forward
we
to
started
that,
following him, and very soon all of us became a
Before I
fan of
leave
him.
the stage as
And
they set it
every
up,
time he
I think,
left us with a
we
straight and
all
simple
are
wisdom,
aware that
he left us
things
with
are
a
going to be
smile,
different
and he
as we
left
go
us with a
along,
thought.
and things
And
are
I
going
don't
to
think
get
this evening will be
turbulent. It may
any
get stormy.
different.
So I'll
we all
leave
look
with a
forward to
quote
that.
of Vivian
together.
Green, a famous British author. And
Before I leave
she
the
once
stage
said
as
that
they set it up,
life is
I
not
think
about
we
waiting
all
and letting
are
the
aware
storm
that
pass.
things are going to be different
It's
as we go
all
along,
about
and
learning
things are
how
going
to
to get
dance in the
turbulent.
rain.
It may get stormy.
And I think
so. I'll
this
leave with a
evening will be a
quote
success
of
if at the end
Vivian
of it,
Green, a
all
famous
of
British
us,
author, and
or some of us,
she once
get
said that
inspired to
life
get up
is not
and learn
about
to dance in the
waiting
rain.
and letting the storm
Life
pass.
will be a beautiful place.
It's
Thank you
all
for being
about
here, and have a
learning
great
how to
evening.
dance in the rain. And I think this evening will be a success if at the end of it, all of us or some of us us get inspired to
Well,
get up
ladies and gentlemen,
and learn
now
to
we
dance
are
in the rain.
on
Life will
to
be a beautiful
challenge
place.
and to
Thank you
change.
for being here and have a
I
great
was just
evening.
thinking one thing. I'm so happy. In our classes still today, we still have conversations. The teacher teaches.
Well, ladies and gentlemen,
we talk
now
to
we
the
are
students,
on
they imbibe,
to challenge
they learn,
and to
all
change.
because of
You
conversation.
know, I was just thinking one thing.
And
I'm so happy.
in life, and I'm so
in our
happy,
classes
at
till
least those
today,
4, 5,
we still have
3
conversations.
hours, it's all about
The
conversations.
teacher teaches,
in school.
we talk to the students,
But I think
they
overall,
imbibe, they
we
learn,
need to
all because
encourage
of conversations.
the momentum
of
and
real-time
in
conversation.
life, and I'm
and
so
not just
happy, at least those
text-time
4,
conversation
5,
on
3
WhatsApp.
hours.
And I'm sure a lot
it's
of you
all
all are
about
doing it here right now.
conversations.
Some of you all
in
have taken
school.
pictures,
But I
posting
think
it, etc.,
overall,
etc., and
we
saying,
need
wow,
to
what a lovely
encourage
night. the
So, ladies
momentum
and gentlemen,
of
now it's
real-time
time to get
conversation
on with a
and not
lot
just
of conversation.
text-time
Trust me.
conversation on WhatsApp. And I'm sure a lot of you all are doing it
And
here
the
right
moderator
now.
for
Some
this
of you all have
evening is
taken
an amazing
pictures,
gentleman.
posting it, etc., etc.,
You know,
and
I'm
saying, "Wow, what a
honestly
lovely
gonna be
night."
taking him on my
So,
show
ladies
because
and
my
gentlemen,
show is called
now it's
Direct
time to
Dilse.
get on with a
And this
lot of
gentleman
conversation.
is all
Trust
about
me.
connecting hearts, mending hearts,
And the
repairing
moderator
hearts.
for this evening is an
And he does
amazing
it so
gentleman.
well. He
You know,
infuses
I'm honestly
those
going to be
smiles.
taking him on my
And
show
trust
because
me,
my show
when he's
is called
operating
Direct
also,
Dilse. And
this
this always gentleman is
conversation
all about connecting hearts, mending
that
hearts,
keeps the
repairing
active
hearts,
and the sense of operation
and he does it so
higher.
well. He
Ladies and
infuses those smiles.
Really, really
and
proud
trust
to have
me,
with us
when he's
our
operating
moderator for this
also,
evening, a
he's
gentleman who
always in a
needs no
conversation
introduction, and I truly welcome him
that
from
keeps
my heart.
the active and the sense
None
of operation
other, ladies and gentlemen,
higher.
put your hands together
Ladies
for
and
Dr. Kunal
gentlemen.
Sarkar.
Really, really proud to have with us our moderator for this evening, a gentleman who needs no introduction, and I truly welcome him from my heart. None other, ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Dr. Kunal Sarkar.
Hello, hello. Jimmy, thank you very much. Thank you very much. You were very generous with your introduction because that is the most profuse introduction that a plumber has had in a long time. Right. Jimmy, thank you very much. Thank you very much. You were very generous with your introduction because that is the most profuse introduction that a plumber has had in a long time. Having a panel discussion on thank you, education. Right. What made you think of me? Thank you to ABP. And thank you to AdmissionTree. That probably our impish. You know, Jimmy, I was actually wondering for a while. And he must have Googled that whilst you were having a panel discussion on education, and my name must have figured pretty high on the list. And I have a feeling. So from somebody, probably our impish who has more dirt than and he must have Googled that who desperately needs education in this city. Thank you for a very and my name must have figured pretty high. We have to move on because time and so from somebody for us, I think, and who has great pleasure than welcome on stage this our panelists. Many of them have come into the city from elsewhere. We have to move on because a very warm tide doesn't wait for us from the city. And it is a great pleasure to welcome on stage. Can I invite our panelists? Many of them Ricardo have come Sola, the city, the Deputy Secretary of and to all of you, a very warm and hearty welcome. I was waiting to meet him for a very long time. Because I just told him to the stage that I was, Mr. Ricardo Sola, I am the Deputy Secretary of the first set of lambs who was slaughtered. I was waiting on the edifice of the first ICSE exam because I just told him. So to Mr. Sola, I have an account. I am the symbol of the first set of lambs who was slaughtered on the edifice of the first ICSE exam in this city. Following Mr. Solar, I have an account to settle. Mr. Arun which I Rajan after the panel discussion. Arun, welcome to Kolkata from Chennai. We have a score to settle. Right. I was reading a little bit about you. You are in the habit of conducting very stiff examinations is because you are the MD Rajan CEO of the Cambridge Assessment Arun, welcome to Kolkata from Chennai. Right? I was reading a little bit about you. I am not entirely you are in the habit of conducting very stiff examinations because you are the MD I am a little bit CEO beyond of the Cambridge Assessment Board. Arun, once again, welcome to Kolkata. Welcome, Arun. How often? I am not entirely sure if I would have got through half the exams that you actually running. But I am a little bit beyond that sell-by date. In a very innovative Arun, once again, welcome to Kolkata. I don't think not very often. How often remember either do you have SEPCO or anyone do you have a champion marathon venturing into the field of education? But it is with great pleasure, innovative with the fitness of mind and the fitness of spirit. We welcome remember either founder, MD or anyone of his SIP Abacus venturing into the field of education. Dinesh, but welcome with great pleasure. with the fitness of mind and the fitness of spirit, we welcome the founder, MD, CEO of SIP Abacus, Mr. Dinesh Victor. Dinesh, welcome to Kolkata. Please, Dinesh. One of the most aspiring and rapidly expanding education groups in this part of the country, who are performing extremely well in their domain. Thank you. And which is really one of the most aspiring entrepreneurship and rapidly expanding education groups in this part and heading that organization we have who are performing extremely well in their domain. The CEO of Narayana Group of Schools, really Debolina has a tough act to manage, to which with almost 20 schools spread all across and heading that organization we have. Thank you for being with us. Debolina Shaha, the CEO of Narayana Group of Schools. Debolina has a tough act to manage with almost 20 schools spread all across the state. Very innovative. Thank you for being with us this evening. In the courses, in the various domains they have explored over the years. J.D. Birla, and from J.D. Birla Institute, which really we have their principal with us, Professor innovative, very thought-provoking in the courses, in the various domains they have explored over the years. And from J.D. Birla Institute, we have their principal with us, Professor I have no Dipali shame in confessing, Dipali, please, that now and again, when the mind is very tense and there is no more nails left to be chewed up, we sometimes I have no shame in confessing some very simple that now and again sessions when the mind is very tense. And a dear friend of mine, and there is no more nails left to be chewed up, both in the formal, in we the sometimes listen to with some very simple parents storytelling, and we are so keen to hear about her. And a dear friend, because apart from being a dear friend, she also happens to be the better half in the formal, of a very close friend of mine, with one of the most soulful singers, and we are so keen this to hear about her. For a because very apart from being time. A dear friend, welcome she also happens to be the better half friend of a very close friend of mine, one of the most soulful singers that this country has had for a very long time. Welcome on stage, Orna, my friend Orna Shi. So aptly, ladies and gentlemen, this session has been sort of conceived as the challenges and the change. It's not been very long. I think how long has it been? We are about 3 days since this session has been sort of conceived as the challenges and the change. And as Pandit Nehru was giving, it's not been very long. I think how long has it been? We are about 3 days from the Central Hall of Parliament, all of 77 years ago. Remember, and as Pandit Nehru on that night was giving India had a literacy rate of Tryst with Destiny from the Central Hall of Parliament. Remember, friends, all of 77 years ago, the literacy rate in women in India were in single digits. India had a literacy rate and hardly 16% of men. Remember, friends, on that evening or have any form of numerical the literacy rate in women in India were in single digits. We had a population of around 30 crores. And hardly 16%. And a population of 30 crores could in undivided India or have any had less than 25 universities. Today we had a population of around 30 crores. A population of 30 in an undivided India had only a few thousand, had less than 25 universities. Today we are looking at we have nearly 800,000. A population of 30 crores in an undivided India had only a few thousand, where if you count the number of students, today we are senior school and in the undergraduate stage, that we are perhaps together, it is almost today 10% in the world of the entire where if you count Indian the number of students of in the senior school and in the undergraduate stage, it is the world added together that it is almost today 10% of the India's gift Indian this contemporary of technology-dominated society has been, it is the world resource that India has given to the world, that these people, the India's gift to this contemporary technology dominated. So it is with this context has been that each one of them, educatable will tell us equity, that what has been the challenge and all in their domain of work, in their domain of activity. So it is with this context, and friends, that even though you are in Kolkata, there has to be a modicum of law and order. What has been the challenge? We must not appear this work look like the local election of activity. So do bear with me. I don't want friends, to be even though you are in Kolkata or whistling, there has to be a modicum of law and order. About 3 to 4 minutes for the first round. We must not appear this, believe you, like the local elections. Back to you for a second. So do bear with me, because I don't want to be thumping on the table or whistling at you. We are but about 3 to 4 minutes for the first round, and then believe you me, we will come back to one another, because once makes a panel discussion about challenges and elocution, we are very keen to know about the change. So we must not be absent to that. Feel free to interact. So on that note, with one another, because if we don't, Mr. Sola, it makes a panel discussion looks like you prefer to go an elocution contest for the whatever makes you more comfortable. So we must not lapse into that. So Mr. Ricardo Sola, the Deputy So on that note of CISCE, Mr. Sola will tell us about his challenges. You prefer to go in there? The domain of education. Whatever makes you more comfortable. So Mr. Ricardo Sola, the Deputy Secretary of CISCE,
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Will tell us about his challenges.
If all we do is to teach our children what we know, they might remember enough to follow ladies and gentlemen, our footsteps. But if all we do is to teach our children what we know, encourage them to they might remember enough they want to follow in our footsteps. This is the challenge before us. But if we teach them, and it is how to implementation, we encourage them that the change to go will be possible anywhere they want. There is a little story. This about is the challenge before us on a dark night, and it is the finds out that he has lost his car key. That the change and when getting back to his car, and he keeps there is a little story below about a driver who on a dark night, someone asks him, finds out that he has lost his car key, where he has dropped his key, and when getting back to his car, he says no. And he keeps looking only below the street light. That is the only place where I can see anything. That if in education where he has dropped his key, if that was the place, there is a deep-rooted instinct but he says at what is the only place where I can see anything at hand and easiest to see. In education too, it may not be the best place. There is a deep-rooted instinct, but that is where at what is closest. There are familiar questions to us at hand and easiest to see. Before it may not be the best place is the perennial to look, but that is question which is unresolved question, and that is an answer. Which came first? Before us today is the perennial question which is unresolved, and that is, do we challenge which came the child first? Before we change the chicken, the current or the egg education ecosystem, all right? Or do we first change the current education ecosystem? Do we challenge and then the child before we change the current education ecosystem? Or do we first change the current education ecosystem and then challenge the child? Is not to prepare coming to the challenge. Something. Our job, Giuliani had said, students, our job to prepare as teachers themselves for is not to prepare students for something. Can we challenge? Our job is to help develop students' a child's mind to prepare themselves. It has already been developed, anything, both physically and neurologically. So, can we challenge? That is what the developologist a child's mind tell us, that there have been extensive. It has already been developed of the brain, both physically, early and neurologically, in life of a child. That is what the
And therefore today
neurologists,
we have
researchers would tell us,
emphasis on
that there have been
the
extensive
foundational
development
stage
of the brain
in education.
early in life of a child.
Some time ago,
And
got a
therefore
message
today we have
from one of my
emphasis
students
on
Facebook.
the foundational stage, and it was in
education.
the form of a pie chart. Some time ago
And the pie
I
chart
got
had
a message from one of my
areas
students
of
on
demarcation.
Facebook. One said, and
What
it
I
was in
learned
the
in
form
school.
of a pie chart.
The other said,
And the pie chart
I
had
wished
I had learned
areas
in school of demarcation.
what I learned
One
in
said,
school, it had
what I learned in
how
school.
to multiply. The
I
other
learned
said
what
H2O stands
what I
for.
wished I had learned
And I
in
learned
school.
what is a verb and what is a noun.
What I learned in school, I learned how to multiply.
other-
I learned
other
what
portion
H2O
says,
stands for.
What I wished.
And I
had
learned what
in
is a verb and what is a noun.
the importance of
have a
mental
minute.
health, mindfulness,
The other,
self-care,
the other portion
self-esteem,
says
reframing
what I
negative
wished
thoughts,
I had learned in
emotional
school.
regulation, and
The
personal
importance of
finance.
mental health,
This
mindfulness,
made me realize
self-care,
that we need to
self-esteem,
look and
reframing
relook at
negative
school
thoughts,
education
emotional
from the point of
regulation,
view
and
of
personal
a student.
finance.
We need to
And this
understand
made me realize
the problems that affect
that we need to
and
look
impact the
and
mind
relook
of a child
at school
today.
education from the
Learning
point of view
difficulties,
of
peer
a student.
pressure, varying
We need to
temperaments,
understand the
family
problems that
concerns,
affect
and
and impact the
society
mind of a child
constraints.
today. Learning difficulties,
So what do we do?
peer pressure, varying
As
temperaments,
educators, we need to ask
family
ourselves
concerns, and
are
society
the objectives
constraints.
that we should provide to a child
So what do we
for an education in school. And can these objectives be met only in the confines of the school? Or can it be met outside? Do children need to come to school? Or will homeschooling be sufficient? Keep in mind that homeschooling is popular in the West and it is catching on in India as well. So the challenge as educators is to ensure that our children are not misfits in a progressive society. And the aim should be to make them useful, productive, responsible, and contributing members of society. To begin, we need to realize that education is but a continuous journey of learning and experiences throughout life. It is not a destination to which one must go. So two important areas that we need to do is, one, strengthen our overall educational structure, which is vital to challenge and to change. Strengthen the foundational stage of education. What many of us tend to do is we look at the end product, the child leaving after completing +2.
Ricardo will come back to you. So if you please summarize.
Okay. So finally, what I would like to sum up at this stage of the challenge is that we need to look at the foundational stage, strengthen the foundational level. With a solid foundation, I think we will have a comprehensive and brighter outcome for the child. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ricardo. Thank you ever so much. You have really provoked a lot of questions in trying and challenging the system, because India really has a very unique educational system, because a certain gentleman who lived in this city not too far from here, and there is one of the oldest clubs of India located in that venue right now, Thomas Babington Macaulay. He not only laid the foundation for our educational system, but he was also the father of our penal system. So eventually, over a matter of few years, one of them started looking like the other. right? So we couldn't agree with you more that time has come for us to change. Debolina, what has been your challenge in your area, wherever you're comfortable from, please. I'm sure you can do that, you know.
See, so good evening to everyone. So I'm facing the challenge how to switch on the microphone. See, this is so easy, but at this age also I'm trying to figure it out. So the future, what we are talking about, how to make the children ready for the future, but the future is unpredictable. A child who is taking admission today in nursery, after 15 years when he or she is coming out from the school, we don't even know what kind of career is waiting for them. Today we feel that, information is just a click away. The world is really growing fast and the technology is evolving so rapidly. And with the help of ChatGPT and Google, we feel that it's just a click away and we know everything. But we don't even know that tomorrow those information will be obsolete. So as an educator, we need to train a young mind how to use that information, how to use that technology effectively to challenge the future problems. So when a teacher is coming to a class, they are prepared that what they are about to teach. They know why they are teaching, but how they are teaching, that is most important thing. And that should be the starting point. How to teach a young brain, how to challenge a young brain. And that will solve maximum problems. We need to bring a child out from the Insta world and we need to take them to the field and to show them how a young boy, just tweaking a little, the water management or the grassland management and increasing the productivity. That is the reality. We need to bring more real-life problems into our curriculum so that every time they need to relate, they need to feel, yes, the context. Otherwise, they will, stay to be happy in the virtual world. So I feel that is the biggest challenge to all of us, how to bring them out from the virtual and the fancy world and teach them what is reality.
Debolina, you've really touched a very sensitive point over there, from the virtual to the real, right? I'm sure that is how stiff a challenge can really get. You have a job on your hands. With that, I think we will move to our marathon runner, Dinesh. Dinesh, your work with SIP Abacus really amazes us. And this marathon, you've got to finish in 4 minutes. Thanks.
I'll try to do it faster. Firstly, thank you, ABP, and thank you, Conversations and Admission Tree, for this program, Conversations. And I would like to just start by appreciating all the principals sitting here for your wonderful work that you've been doing with school students over the years. It's a really challenging job, and it's in some ways a thankless job. And it's really nice that you all could take the time to come and sit and listen to all of us. Now, you have been, I'm sure, listening to a lot of lectures and a lot of talks about what are the big challenges. You must have heard about the 4 C's. The children need to learn these 4 skills like, critical thinking, communication, collaboration, creativity. I'm not getting into all that. I just want to give you a little broader picture. And this is something I'm not a traditional educator. I'm a engineer, MBA kind of background, and I've kind of stumbled into education. So I just see it from a different perspective. If you really look at the big picture of the world, and this is something that I've read from a very nice author called Yuval Noah Harari. I would encourage you all to read his books. And one of his famous books is 21 Lessons for the 21st Century, a book I would really recommend all of you to read. So the key challenges at the larger level, if you see here, first is the technological change. And that's so fast at all areas, not just at the computer science. You see in the neuroscience, neurobiology, aging. I mean, there's tremendous amount of change happening at the technological level, which frankly, most of us don't even understand. And there's something called singularity, all that stuff. The second huge change that's happening at the larger level is climate change and ecological change. And whether we like it or not, it's going to affect every little student of ours as they grow up. And these are changes that we need to somehow, as educators, prepare our children for. And it's very hard to think how you're going to do that. But in some sense, you have the responsibility and also, I would say, the privilege to do that. So I would just leave you as such big challenges. First, the simple understanding of the challenge itself is a challenge for most of us. And once you understand this challenge, the answer to what you need to develop in children are fundamentally three things. One is a love for learning. Not easy. How to do that, but I'll just leave you the big picture and I'll come some other time to tell you how you can do that. But first is the idea of love for learning. Second is the idea of resilience. Because there's going to be so much change, your children are going to face job losses, failures, company closures. How are they going to be resilient? And today you all know how big of a challenge we have of mental health among children. A recent study puts the number as close to 15% of children are depressed in some form or have a mental illness. And that's a huge problem as educators, you're going to face if you want them to teach anything. Forget complex stuff like love of learning. And so that's a huge challenge itself, which I don't think we've even fully recognized. And the third thing that children have to learn is adaptability. How are they willing to learn and adapt to the new world of tomorrow? And these three are huge skills that we need to see how we can develop in children at a younger age. So I would just leave as a challenge itself, these are the two big challenges. And the real challenge, I would say, is the very fact that there is little awareness that this challenge is there. And secondly, our curriculum and our assessment processes, which is our marks in the 12th standard and the 10th standard, which is a key way you assess whether the school is good or not. How many kids have done well in the 12th standard board or in the 10th standard board, frankly, has very little correlation with what I spoke about: love for learning, adaptability, and resilience. And that's, I think, the single biggest challenge that I would say you would face when you want to challenge a young mind for the future.
Thank you, Dinesh. And I'm ever so happy you've introduced Yuval Noah Harari, because I think the Bible of the 21st century has just been rewritten. And those of you who do not have a copy of Homo sapiens on the shelf, please have one, right? Thank you. Now, Dinesh has opened a very challenging vista in front of us. The educators and the educable community, are we on the same wavelength? Are we sharing the same awareness? J.D. Birla Institute, you have always not really kept up to the beaten track most of the time, been very creative, very innovative. So we are extremely keen to hear from Deepali. What has your experience been? What has your challenges been, Deepali? Thanks.
Thank you, Kunal sir, and a very good evening to everyone. I was just, checking up the presence of this august gathering, and I realized that most of us belong to a phase, or when we were educated, to the traditional systems, more or less. Today, things have changed so fast, and disruptions are happening at such a rapid pace that we probably don't even know what new will come up tomorrow. So in such a situation, keeping the students and challenging their minds every day is very important. And for this, few of the points that I feel we could look at as educators is, number one, understanding how to train the children to understand these disruptions. That's the most important thing. Today, it is not possible for any of the educators to have a framework of teaching and fixing that framework which carries on for 10 years, for example. When we were learning in school or in colleges, our syllabuses never changed in the 10 years' time. So as educators today, first we need to know that there cannot be a boundary of a syllabus. Because the disruptions are happening, so there has to be a constant evolution and a constant change that is happening. So the first thing is that the traditional system of having a fixed curriculum to teach a child has to be done away with. That's going to be the most important part of challenging these disruptions. The child has to be, at least in our colleges, since we have most of the innovative programs, it is important that the child is taught to think out of the box. This is a very common term that we all use every day. But it's not that easy to train the child to think out of the box. That can only happen if the child is trained to question rather than giving answers. This is something very important where we forget that until you know how to question, it is very difficult to know how to answer. So, as an example, we recently tried to have this as an assignment where we told children that your assignment will be preparing a list of questions, innovative questions. So when you can question innovatively, only then can you answer and get a solution. And our aim is not really to find a solution. Our aim is to see what possibilities are there, and from there pick up the best. So one point to challenge a student's mind today is to make them think innovatively and out of the box. Another point that I would like to harp upon is that with the disruptions happening very frequently, it is very important that the child learns multiple skills. When we graduated, we probably had doctors, lawyers, architects, and many others, But today the requirement would be that the disruptions would be so fast, so if you do not have a multiple skill in in multiple skills, it's going to be very difficult for a child to survive or for a profession to survive because everything is changing so fast. And another important thing I was actually thinking about, and we are talking about AI and ChatGPT and so much of data available today to this current generation, the younger generation that we have. And that is to, kind of train them or probably help them to evaluate the information available. So they must be trained to know that from a pool of information, how they can actually draw out their conclusions and try to logically understand what is the correct information and how to use it in their day-to-day lives. So I would say that today education is not really preparing you for life, but education is life itself. It is just a life, and one lifetime is going to be too short to pick up everything. But of course, if we are trained to learn every day, you would not need a tutor to stand beside you to tell you this is right and that is wrong. And that is where I would rest my case for this session, sir.
So correct, Dipali. As you were speaking, we were having, the fleeting reminiscences of Robert Oppenheimer when he was getting the people around for the Manhattan Project. The politicians were asking him, why are you getting all these people together? He, in his own laconic way, made a comment, I'm getting together the people to ask the right questions, right? So I think there is a little bit of Oppenheimer in what you just said. So well spoken, Dipali. And with that, we come to our another friend from Chennai, Arun. Arun, give us your thoughts as to what your challenge has been in the Cambridge board and your assessments, because you do a lot of them. Please.
Thank you, Dr. Kunal. Thank you, ABP. Thank you, Admissions Tree. Honored to be here amongst such distinguished panelists. And one of the advantages of listening to such a distinguished panel is that you draw upon so much of inspiration. We've heard, an articulation of so many different areas today. Mr. Solar talked about, preparing students for anything. I heard Ms. Deblina talk about how do we prepare students with career choices. We heard about ChatGPT. We heard about technology disruption. So I thought, rather than just talk about challenges, because we've been listening to challenges now, why don't we quantify the magnitude of the opportunity that we have against which these challenges need to be evaluated? And I think if we look at ourselves in India and we look at what our students face in terms of the opportunities coming ahead, one, the last 2 decades, we've seen so much of globalization. And we look at the impact of globalization, what has that resulted in? It's resulted in so many jobs becoming truly global. It does not mean that everyone has gone overseas to do global jobs. It means that the jobs that we do here in India are increasingly having a global footprint. Innovation happens out of India. There's operations that are run out of India. There are deliveries that happen out of India. But what that means is that our education systems need to prepare students to have a more global outlook. I think the other opportunity that we see also is the huge explosion of demographic dividends that we're going to see as a region. Now, most of the world, which is the developed economies today, are aging. By 2030 and beyond, we're going to see a hugely aged population where many countries would not have a workforce that can actually be productive enough. And on the other hand, we are going to see a massively growing population with the largest number of young people who need to be educated, who need to have the skills required. And there's going to be a huge amount of talent migration that's going to happen from regions like us to the regions that are actually going to need this talent. But what kind of talent is required there? It's not just the skills that are required and the knowledge that is required, but we also need very empathetic people. We need people who can appreciate diversity. We need people who can appreciate different cultural aspects. We need empathetic people who can also understand how to communicate very effectively, and also an understanding of multiple languages. This is the kind of skills that we are going to be needing in the next 7 to 10 years. And our education systems really need to step up to be delivering and helping our students realize that opportunity. So from that context, if I look at what we need today, we need a good balance between knowledge and skills. We need a good balance between values and culture. We also need an excellent balance between how our education systems can bring that outcome-based models into our classrooms. We heard, the power of technology that can come in. Now just look at what technology can do to disrupt. Today, students do have more information than what they need at their fingertips, but how do they make sense of which information is true and which is not? How do they make the right decisions? How do they evaluate? How do they present those facts? And this is going to need a lot of the core skills to be coming in. Appreciation of data, looking at critical thinking, problem-solving abilities, leadership, working in groups, making sure that they're able to present, articulate, debate, and also, express themselves well. Now, these are life skills that people are going to need. And if it can't spark curiosity, that's going to be a challenge that the education system would have in terms of not creating a workforce that can become very relevant for the future. The way we address this in Cambridge, and I think this is an aspect that I would strongly believe in, is any education system needs to have 3 core principles. One, there has to be contextual capabilities built into our systems. Second, there needs to be coherence into everything that we do. And the third, there has to be principles of choice provided. And each of these 3 principles would go a long way in terms of addressing the opportunities that I talked about. What is contextual capability today? Every education system needs to have a bit of the local rooted in. These local issues would be culture, values, and this is all going to be important for nation building. And these are important for us to have. But at the same time, it is important now in a future globalized workforce, a very key requirement for us to provide global perspectives to our students. How do we make sure that students appreciate the value of geopolitical developments that are happening today? How do we expose them to, as Victor said, the aspects of climate change today? Now, these are important aspects for students to start perceiving in order for them to start becoming relevant and ready for solving some of the biggest challenges that the globe is going to face. That is the local context or the contextual capability. The coherence is all about making sure that our curriculum, our systems are interconnected. We are very good at doing linear interconnection. So we know if we have to teach trigonometry, what do we teach in class 6, what do we teach in class 8, we know that. But everything has become interdisciplinary. It's now about interdisciplinary interconnectedness. So for example, how do I teach science using concepts of history? If I can go back to a step well in Rajasthan, can I then teach the principles of aquifers? Because what this interconnected disciplinary teaching methodology would do is that it will make learners appreciate What it means we're creating spark, curiosity, but it'll also make them learners for life. But the role of the teacher then becomes important. So how do we make sure that teachers gear up to ensure that they can bring that to the classroom in a live way? So teachers need to be supported. It's not easy for us to expect that from a road-based system that they had, they're going to immediately jump over to having open-ended questions and get into competency-based teaching and learning systems. That looks very beautiful on paper, but on implementation, it's going to become a huge challenge for us to deal with. So I think these are some of the aspects that we now need to start addressing. And the more we educate our teachers, the more we make our parents aware, and the more we make the students aware of the global opportunity, I think this will go a long way in terms of changing their mindset.
Thank you, Arun. Very clear. That's a very clear blueprint of the fundamentals, and I think much needed. Orna, you have walked a very different path, probably not in the way most conservative ideas of problem solving, social connect and education sees it. What has been your journey so far?
Well, firstly, thank you, Kunal. Thank you, ABP and admissions.in, and thank you, friends, for being here today. I think when I looked at the topic of challenges, and the phrase which kind of stuck with me was future ready. And all our friends here, the co-panelists, have been talking about, we know that there is a future lurking out there where there is an ecological crisis. Currently our carbon, our footprints far exceed what the earth can bear. We are also facing a crisis of values, the current episodes which are happening around us in a premier education institution in the country actually tells us about the obliteration of human values that we are facing. Now the challenge now for us as adults is actually to think of what it is that we are going to do. Because the present we have created now was a future 10 or 20 years ago when these people who are in the workforce, who are in colleges now, were in schools. So what went wrong? Have we failed somewhere as adults? Because it's not that NCF 2023 is the first, we have had NCF 2005, we have had national education policies, which have not said things that were very different. And yet, when I look at the annual status of education report, Pratham's 2022, we see that since 2018, there has been a 4.2% increase in paid tuition after schools of children. And this is only a rural survey. We know that in private schools, the picture is not very different. The Department of Education, Government of India, has currently published results of a mental health survey of school children, where we are seeing that the survey says that anxiety with education, anxiety with results, frequent mood swings, not being able to answer questions in class, not being able to get a counselor's help are things that are actually troubling children across all age groups, in all classes, in all kinds of schools. And the report mentions that this is despite the fact that NEP 2020 says that we should make the journey stress-free. So if there is so much stress in the system, then clearly joyful learning is not happening. And to top it all, I will again quote a survey report of the Graduate Skills Survey of 2023 that says that after all the tuitions and after all everything, so much of examination, so much of pen and paper, we are saying formative assessments, but actually we're only doing summative assessments. And after all of that, less than 50% of our graduates are not employable. So here we are, as adults, we are a whole room of educators. We have to, I think, seriously think about what the purpose of education is and where it is that we want to see our children 10 years from now. And what really needs to change actually is our mindset. The policy is there, the framework is there, it has always been there. It's been there for a long time. We cannot say that this is the first time that we are, NEP 2020 is the first time that we are hearing something like this. We all know that. So I think the challenge is firstly to us, because I've always believed and seen children in very, very difficult circumstances, children who have been trafficked and children who have now become change leaders. I always think that children are always ready. It's us who have the barriers out there. So for now, I think this is how much I want to say.
Yes, Orna, very correct, that we have the challenges and the tasks cut out in front of us. As we move on to the next leg of the discussion, from the challenges to the changes, I think as time doesn't really wait for us, perhaps we are running a shade late than the schedule. I request all of us to be, follow the old wisdom that brevity is the soul of wit. And having said that, please wrap up in around 2 minutes. And let us follow the same order. Ricardo, we start with you. Right, okay.
I will keep it short this time, and I like to stand and speak so I can see the entire audience. I'll just touch on 3 points where we are emphasizing on the change. First is the syllabus. I'm speaking from board's point of view. Okay? So syllabuses in our schools need to be reviewed in the context of the needs of the present and the future generation of children, and they should be modified accordingly. There is a constant need for a course correction of the syllabus for it to remain relevant. There is a need to introduce new subjects also and to weed out irrelevant and redundant ones. The introduction of relevant technical, vocational, application-based subjects such as robotics, artificial intelligence, gaming, coding, machine learning, and beauty and wellness are some of them. The second point is I want to emphasize on teachers and teaching pedagogy. If change is to take place, then one of the key stakeholders in the process is the teacher. And it is the teacher who will effect all changes. There is a saying, don't train teachers once for their entire life. You see, when they enter the system, they are trained, and that's it. They need to constantly upgrade themselves. They need refresher courses. They need to upgrade their skills. And this must be done keeping in mind that they should become aware of certain new methodologies and modern pedagogies, like toy-based pedagogies, collaborate learning, spaced learning, flipped classroom learning, and gamification. That's some of which our teachers should be aware of. Finally, we need to also change our evaluation and our assessment and examination systems. Emphasis on conceptual understanding, critical thinking, analysis should replace rote learning and memorization. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ricardo. And with your thoughts about the change, we move on to Devolina. Devolina,
So as we are hearing from our friends, so it is true that what changes we can bring. The first and foremost thing, the change into your mindset. We need to change our mindset. A teacher who is coming to the class, it's not that always they are prepared. It's okay. As a parent, when we are coming back to school, it's not always that we are asking for the homework. That is also okay. at least we need to give some time to that young kid to converse with the parent. If they're doing nothing, that is also okay. If they're just looking out of the window, that is also okay. They need to think, they need to imagine, they need to empathize. Then only we can bring changes. Otherwise, it is not at all possible to bring any changes. If we are changing the syllabus, the curriculum, the pedagogy, the first thing we need to change our mindset. That's all.
Thank you, Debolina. And to carry on the conversation about the change, we now request Mr. Dinesh Victor. Dinesh.
This is a complex and a long topic, but Mr. Kunal gives me only 2 minutes. So I'll try to be very short and very precise in what I think you need to do to make a change. Firstly, as educators, we have only limited power. We can't change the syllabus that's given by the government. So whatever it's, Mr. Ricardo can do that, none of us can do it. So just keep that out of your calculation. What we can really do is first and most important as principals and I think key leaders, you must realize that you have a tremendous amount of power to make a change. Even if the education system is whatever it is. First, you must realize you have a tremendous amount of power with you to make a huge change. And let me just give you simple ideas. We know practically nothing much can be done in 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, because it's really the time when kids have to focus on boards, and whether you like it or not, parents are going to worried about that. So focus a lot on the kindergarten, the pre-primary, and up to class 8. That's a lot of time when you can really focus and develop a lot of skills in children. So if you decide you want to do it, the next big thing I would say is create a good vision for your school and co-create that vision with your school owners and maybe your key teachers. Now, as a company in SIP Academy, we have a very powerful vision to make a significant impact on every child who comes to us. And that simple vision has driven us for the last 20 years. And I can tell you, the power of a vision is very powerful and you can make a huge change. Once you decide on the vision, it's pretty logical. You can think what kind of experiences I must give my children in school between kindergarten to class 8, which will give me the highest chance of achieving the vision. It could be unstructured play, it could be going to nature walks, whatever, you can figure that out. It's not that hard. Sit with your teachers for a 2-day workshop, you will figure it out. And then all you need to do is execute that. And for that, you need to also train your teachers. Spend a lot of time in training your teachers, talking to them, because not every teacher has motivated to do this. Without motivated teachers, you're not never going to achieve anything great. Spend a lot of time and energy in motivating teachers so that they will encourage children. Children need encouragement to do things, not correction. You need to find teachers who will appreciate and encourage children, and then you will see change. And finally, celebrate changes. Celebrate so that everybody is happy in your school. Your teachers are happy, and if your teachers are happy, they will make children happy, and you will see change, even if the curriculum doesn't change and assessment systems don't change. That's all I can tell in 2 minutes.
Extremely well said, Dinesh. Be happy to celebrate changes, and it always helps us if we have a vision of the path we are walking on. Very well said. Dipali, we wait for you.
So, I would just first like to say, who says that a teacher cannot change the syllabus? I totally disagree. As a teacher, nobody stops me from what I teach in my classroom. And that's where we should all now focus on and make this major paradigm shift in the so-called education system. You may not be allowed to delete something from the syllabus, but there is no law which says you can't add anything to the syllabus. And with this, I would like to bring one more important point and would like to have people think over it. What is actually difference between learning and education? We as educators, we are supposed to train the children to face the, you equip them with life skills so that they can face the challenges in life. And when we talk about education, everything becomes very formal, very restrictive in nature, and that's not what's going to happen. And Sir just mentioned that we should embrace change. And that's the major change that we educators should now take up. A complete change where we use, these few things as, I would say, excuses for not being able to do it, but we've never really debated whether they are actually existing or they are simply excuses that we put forth and not take it up. I'm trying to deviate, and since we have one of the, the finest debaters that I have come across, Sir, I personally feel that in education, at every level, we should bring in the concept of debating. It's very important for the child to understand the logic and take the debates forward to know what he is learning and what he should not learn. I think that's where I would like to, leave it for a food for thought, that we should differentiate between learning and education. Thank you, sir.
I think the debater in me suddenly wakes up and says, Dipali, thank you. Because I think it was the mischievous Mark Twain who once said that education is what is left after you have forgotten everything that was taught in schools, right? On that note, Arun, we wait for your point of view.
Thank you. I was really impressed with the point that Dipali made about empowering the teacher to actually take the decisions and helping them realize that the power is with them. And I guess that's where my point would come that, 3 suggestions that I would have. One, how do we really help the teacher realize that they have the power to bring change into the classroom? And that means a lot of training, retraining, upskilling, and that would also mean thinking about how do we reform the syllabus of how teacher training actually happens today, which needs to be more current. Now, if we can do that, which is going to take a longer term, I would say time frame, what do we do in the interim? In the interim, we could always think about using technology and leveraging technology. We can bring communities. Great teachers can mentor teachers who need help. Best practices can be shared. We can connect teachers across boundaries because those virtual boundaries are now disappearing. I would say the second area that we could think about is to reform the assessment in the classroom. We really need to make sure that teachers are empowered today to move away from the traditional assessment models to more of project-based evaluation, problem-solving, capabilities of students, helping students debate and look at, how they could sort of present their ideas and facts after analyzing information. I think this sort of, evaluation systems that happens within the classroom would also help create, students for the future. And lastly, I think the point that I made earlier was, how do we bring in global perspectives into the classroom? Our children, from at least grade 6, need to start appreciating what happens in the world rather than just thinking about what's there in the textbook. And to encourage that, we've got to encourage them to do more research. We've got to ensure that they can spread their wings going beyond the classroom, collaborate, and look for alternative sources of how they're going to get that information that they could start evaluating. So I guess these would be my 3 suggestions for the solution.
Thank you, Arun. Orna.
I think, we have talked about the changes. All the changes that we have talked about actually asks for a culture reset. And we are always talking about the teacher here, but actually there is that entire ecosystem of school management, the publisher of the textbook, the school head, and the parents. And I have, interacted with thousands of teachers over the past 20 years who have said that, we try to do these things in the classrooms, but then there is the syllabus. Then we are accountable for the child not getting enough marks. So what are we supposed to do, man? So I think the culture reset has to happen like the way, it takes a village, as they say, to change. And that is what, and, and ultimately I think we have to believe. We have to believe that, as the NEP says, that you have to, NCF 2023 says, that you have to give equal emphasis on math and sport. And if you give equal emphasis, you still get those marks. Because ultimately I know, that getting those 90s, the boards, that's lurking out there. And there are ample examples of a multifaceted child who also gets good marks. We have had teachers, we have had school leaders, we have had schools which have done that. It is not something very rare, but those are the people who have had visions, who have made mistakes, who have had the courage to take risks. So until and unless we do that, this is not going to happen. So I guess that's what I have to say.
Your points, Arna, do provoke a lot of thought. Ladies and gentlemen, as this young, evolving society moves ahead, as it aspires to be the third largest economy of the world, it has to remind itself that we yet have to educate the last 20% of our population. It has to remind itself that our mission is not accomplished if only we educate in quantity, but we have to educate in quality, because Indian education has to make the necessary global impact. And we have to remind ourselves, as all of you have reminded us time and again, as the changes vacillate between artificial intelligence and natural stupidity, the real world lies somewhere in between. All good things must come to an end. And I'm sure, like me, all of you take home a lot of points, a lot of substance, a lot of synopsis, which will make us think, make us change. But with all of you around, and with initiatives like the one which is happening this evening around, I'm sure about one point, and that is, we are equal to the challenge. We are equal to the task. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. You've been a wonderful audience. Thank you.
Request to the eminent panelist and our awesome moderator to kindly remain on stage. And trust me, to challenge and to change. It is a challenge in itself to bring about a change, and that we all admit, but it's going to happen with the kind of spirit and I would say the kind of conversations we've had today. It's been so enlightening. Thank you so much. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to felicitate our amazing panelist and moderator. I'd like to call upon Dr. Shalia Raj, CEO, Shubh Bharati University, and the CFO, ABP Private Limited, Mr. Pradipto Biswas. Request you to kindly join us on stage. Thank you. Well, thank you to our eminent speakers. Thank you so much. Thank you to our moderator. He not only mends hearts, but he does a lot of things over and above that. Thank you, sir. Really, really a pleasure to have all of you all on stage. And okay, sorry, there'll be a photo session with all of you all, please. Okay, Shaila and Pradipta, we'd like you on stage, please. Ma'am. Yes, sorry once again. Well, we've got the change committee on stage to give the direction, and we got an august audience of amazing people. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, sirs and ma'am. And ladies and gentlemen, up next, we have a small little presentation. And after that presentation, do remember, we have a keynote speaker coming up. Gaur Gopal Das Ji will be joining us after the short presentation, which is coming up next. Ladies and gentlemen, well, we have a gentleman coming up next who's been working with SIP Abacus for the last 16 years. He is in charge of the SIP Abacus Assam, Bihar, Jharkhand, Orissa, Tripura, West Bengal and Andamans, covering 310 branches and 5,000 students. Let us welcome on stage, ladies and gentlemen, the regional head of East and AMP Northeast India of SIP Abacus, Mr. Shubhajit Malik. Please put your hands together. He will address all of us for a few minutes on SIP Abacus and AMP. What a personality. And of course, the biggest inter-school arithmetic genius contest. Warm welcome to you. Please do join us. Ladies and gentlemen, don't forget, just after this, we are going to have our keynote speaker, amazingly awesome, Gaur Gopal Das Ji is going to be joining us in a very short while. But right now, over to that small little session we are going to have with Shubhajit, and it's going to be amazing also. Thank you.
Just check with the screen. I'll just quickly start. Dear ladies and gentlemen, I'll not take much time. A very good evening to all of you. I'm just waiting for the technical glitch. I've been given maximum 7 minutes, and I'll ensure I'll finish quickly within 7 minutes. চেনে আছে উপরে উপরে ছোট জায়গা it's there, it's ready. Abhishek, you can just go there. They're using the laptop address. Just say next. You just press the next key button. This is there. You can give it. Yeah. Done? I hope the audio jacks are there, no? Just check the next slide, the video is playing or not. Next slide, you click and just play and check. Okay, only sound has to be given. It's playing. Go back.
Transforming lives.
Go back, go back.
Because we believe.
Right, I'll take my quick 7 minutes. Ladies and gentlemen, from all the respective institutions of schools across the state of Bengal, once again, good evening and thank you so much for coming for this wonderful meet done by the ABP initiative. SIP Abacus, I will not talk much about it, just 3 things I wanted to share in this auspicious occasion, is an international skill development program in the abacus industry for last 20 years. And this year, when we celebrate 20 years in India, we have given the name of Transforming Lives. Why? Because since last 20 years, more than 10 lakhs children of 6 to 12 years have got trained in this amazing skill development program. And secondly, not only children, but thousands of women have become entrepreneurs and thousands of women have become SIP Abacus teachers. It has transformed the life of children and women. So I'll just quickly play a 40 seconds video on the 20 years of SIP Abacus in India. Next slide, video please. Sound. Play.
SIP Academy's 20-year legacy is a testament to transforming lives. Because we believe everyone has the potential to be extraordinary, and we are here to ignite it. With a strong presence across 11 countries, SIP Academy's impact is not limited by borders. As we actively participate in India's remarkable growth story, we are proud to play a critical role in enhancing the skills of the next generation.
Transforming lives. Transforming lives. Transforming lives. Transforming lives.
SIP Academy, committed to transforming lives.
Next slide, please. Next slide. Right. So now, what does SIP Abacus do? It trains children in a skill development program known as Abacus, Brain Gym, and Speed Writing. And many of the known schools sitting here in India, we are working with more than 1,500 schools. And in West Bengal, we are working with more than 200 schools, where our SIP Abacus teachers goes to the school on Saturday or Sunday and train the children in this amazing activity of SIP Abacus. We never make it compulsory. We go to the school, we show a presentation. Interested parents, they learn this Abacus program. So, but there are still many schools who are yet to know about SIP Abacus. My request is, in the yellow bag given to all of you inside that we have contact details. We will also get in touch with you. I request the schools to have a meeting with us to know how successfully for last so many years, not just Abacus, SIP Abacus is working with so many schools. Next slide. And the last part of my today's session is something very, very important. The National All India Inter-School Arithmetic Genius Contest. Last 7 years, we have done it successfully. And in West Bengal, the Telegraph in Schools always has been an associate partner. This is the 8th season of not just an arithmetic competition, but the country's largest and biggest inter-school arithmetic competition, completely free of cost, which we do every year for classes 1 to 5. Many schools sitting here participates every year, but there are still many schools who may not be aware of this competition, because regularly many people bothers you. But this is not just one competition. And this year I want to already 200 schools from West Bengal and 1,500 schools in India are participating in this competition. But I would like West Bengal, more and more schools to get associated with a completely free of cost country's largest national inter-school arithmetic competition. Again, in that yellow bag given to all of you, we have the official brochure. I'll close with this wonderful video of last year, on 2 minutes video on this amazing competition of All India Arithmetic Genius Contest. Next slide, last slide, and video please. And keep the sound little low. So this is the video, short video to all of you, to the country's largest inter-school arithmetic competition, AGC. After 7 successful years, this is the 8th year. Last year, 6 lakhs children from 1,500 schools participated. And this year, we are planning for 2,000 schools across India. There are 4 rounds, my dear guests. School level, round 1. Regional level, inter-school, round 2. The state level and the national level. The contest is free of cost, but children can only participate if the school participates. Lot of prizes, round 1, school level. The inter-school regional, round 2. All class-wise, separately for classes 1 to 5. Then the round 3, lot of awards plus cash awards for children. And lot of school awards are there during the round 3 state finals. Awards for the schools also. And round 4, the nationals, which happens in Chennai or Hyderabad or Mumbai. The 4th round again with a lot of prizes. ABP Telegraph, ABP Arundo, TTIS. There's a lot of coverage. Some snapshots from last year's state finals across different small and big venues across India. Remember, last year, 6 lakhs children from 1,500 schools participated in the country's largest inter-school arithmetic contest. That's it from my side. All I request is those schools who are participating, continue to participate. Those schools who are yet to participate, do contact us in the yellow bag. Everything is there. And I want all of you, because I was giving an interview to ABP Anando, and they were asking what is unique. I said after pandemic, such gathering in Bengal has not happened with respected people from the education world, which is very much needed. I think I would end by saying, let's put together, let's give a big clap for the entire ABP group for organizing this event. Let's give a big clap, and thank you so much for giving me.
Really appreciate, oh, please. Thank you, Shivajit. Abacus, very fast, very go-getting, and I just love this. When I see everybody looking with that, what's going to happen next? Yes, absolutely, rightly said, ladies and gentlemen. This is the moment we've all been waiting for. He's an electrical engineer, having studied at the College of Engineering, Pune. After a brief stint with Hewlett-Packard, he decided to upgrade his career to a life coach. Ever since, he has been speaking at various prestigious academic institutions and corporate firms in India and abroad for over 2 decades, and has even spoken at the United Nations British Parliament. He has spoken at many charity events to raise funds for social initiatives in the field of education and rural development. His motivational videos are viral, and believe it or not, it's truly amazing. Has reached over 2.2 billion, yes, 2.2 billion views, maybe one of the highest in the world. With over 20 million followers across all social media platforms, he is known as the urban online monk. His debut book, Life's Amazing Secrets, which is an Indian national bestseller, sold a record of 1 million copies. His second book, Energize Your Mind, released on the 1st of January 2023, is already a national bestseller too. He has been the recipient of several awards, including the most prestigious Dadasaheb Phalke International Film Festival Award, Lokmat's Most Stylish International Life Coach Award, an honorary doctorate by KIIT University, and many more in recognition of the work he has been doing. Based on the timeless wisdom coming from down the ages, his talks make the audience think deeper and find simple solutions to difficult problems. Ladies and gentlemen, kindly put your hands together for Gaur Gopal Das Ji.
Thank you. Oh, thank you very much. Thank you, Jay. Thank you. Thank you. A very good evening to you, ladies and gentlemen. My God, doesn't look like you're happy seeing me, guys. A very good evening to you, ladies and gentlemen. Come on, Kolkata, we can do better. A very good evening to you, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, now it sounds so much better. কেমন আছি কলকাতা খুব ভালো আমি বাংলা জানি না তাই আমি ইংরেজিতে কথা বলবো is that right okay good my god wherever I go one of the biggest issues is what language do you speak in right you can speak in English you can speak in Hindi but local people often want some local language flavor and the problem is I always think in English. And if I have to speak any other language, it's like an online Google Translate. And when you're translating online, can I come down? It's so boring here up here. Stages are the most boring places in the world, trust me. It's very lonely up there. Here it's nice. From there, it's going to be a lecture. From here, it's going to be a conversation. And a conversation is always better than a lecture from up there, isn't it? Oh gosh. This online translation, Hindi, English to Hindi, English to Bengali is a trouble. You could go wrong. There was a guy, like a 40 years old guy, and a lady asked him, can you kindly translate this Hindi line into English? He said, what's the Hindi line? Said, Dukh hamesha hamare saath rehta hai. Dukh hamesha hamare saath rehta hai. Sukh aata jata rehta hai. said, translate in English. The guy said, wife always stays with me. Girlfriend comes and goes. Deserved a whack, trust me. So I don't want to get into any such trouble of translating things wrong. So I better speak in English. I'll be in deep trouble making wrong translations in Bengali. So I better stay. But such an absolute joy and pleasure and honor to be here in the city of joy, Kolkata. Bengal, the land of writers and poets, thinkers and philosophers and spiritual leaders and activists and artists and culture. It's incredible. And what a joy to be in the city of joy. What a joy to be in the city of Bengali sweets. My God, these Bengalis, I'm telling you, they are ruining the country with their sweets. High-calorie sweets, you can't resist the temptation of these sweets. How can you resist Balram Malik's Mishti Doi? How can you resist Balram Malik's Nolen Gurer Mishti Doi? Isn't it? How many of you can fall for that Nolen Gurer Mishti Doi anytime? Oh, you just had it in the afternoon, so you didn't think about me? That's so selfish, sir. Okay, brilliant. There was an American man who came to Bengal and he went to one of the interior villages. And in the village there, he found a local Bengali boy sitting and selling mishti doi in that clay pot, kullad, mat. And that, mishti doi is so thick. This American gentleman just couldn't get the hang of it. He turned to this guy and said, this is incredible. How? How did he get it like this? Poor fellow, he doesn't know English much. He said, milk night, morning tide. I'm telling you, it's just hilarious, But just amazing to come in the land of sweets, in the land of culture, in the land of tradition, in the land of literature, in the land of art, in the land of the sweetest language. In fact, Bengali is too sweet as a language as well. It's just absolute joy, pleasure, and gratitude. My gratitude to ABP for having me over, and my congratulations to ABP for it's the 100th year now, if I'm supposing. So congratulations and congratulations to all the wonderful initiatives they take, and this grateful to all of you. At the end of the day, you're still sitting to listen to a bald monk like me. Kudos to your courage, you should have by now walked off. But kudos to your courage. This evening I thought, let me share with all of you what the pencil maker, when he made the pencil for the very first time, he gave the pencil a couple of instructions. And these instructions are very pertinent, vital, crucial, of paramount importance, not just in the field of education, but in living a great life. If we can crack these 6 instructions, 7 instructions, whatever number of instructions, if we can get these right, I think we can get life right. And education is not just about academics. We probably academic students for about 18 to 20 years, but we are life students forever. The journey of education, the journey of learning never stops. And is there a better school in the world, a better university in the world, a better educational body in the world than life? Is there any better principals? Is there any better dean? Is there any better professor? Is there any better faculty member? Is there any better teacher on planet Earth than life? No. इसलिए कई बार मैं कहता हूँ जिंदगी की हर सुबह कुछ शर्तें लेकर आती है और जिंदगी की हर शाम कुछ तजुर्बे देकर जाती है उन तजुर्बे के बिना without those experiences, without that tajurba, there is no bloody education. Education is not about studying. Education is about experience. Education is about realization. Education is about wisdom. And books cannot give realization. Books cannot give experience. Books cannot give wisdom. Which is why academic education is a crucial and a vital aspect of education. But life education is way more important because life education makes us human beings. Academic education only makes us literary and astute in terms of learning the knowledge of this world. And which is precisely why to have a combination of these two is so very crucial. Are you all able to hear me properly? There's no feedback, right? This is hissing. I can hear some of that. Oh yeah, please. Okay. Is that better now, guys? Okay, that's brilliant. Huh? Bengali guys, oh yeah. Oh my God. Technical glitches happen everywhere. I went to Google headquarters in US on the west coast of America. Projector didn't work there. The projector didn't work there, so little hiss here and there. Kolkata achhe. It's all right, guys. Huh? Life experience indeed, straight up. So, the pencil, I'm going to come to you guys as well, yeah? Spending time in every corner, don't worry. वो सब बोले इधर जाता है लुक्खा इधर नहीं आ रहा है. जाऊंगा ना जाऊंगा सर उधर भी जाऊंगा. So the pencil maker gave a very pertinent instruction to the pencil when he first made the pencil. So when you have a pencil, he said to the pencil, said your real purpose lies within you. In the pencil, there's a casing and the lead. And no matter how beautiful the casing is, the pencil's purpose is not about the casing. The pencil's purpose is about the lead inside it. The casing is absolutely important because the casing houses the lead. The casing shelters the lead. The casing holds the lead. But imagine having the most beautiful fancy casing and having no lead inside. What's the point of having a pencil? So the pencil maker said to the pencil, the first thing that I want to tell you is your real purpose lies within you. Ladies and gentlemen, in education and in life, there's an external and there's an internal. The external is the casing. Very visible, very obvious, very in the face. And there's an internal, which is the lead. Not so obvious, not so clearly seen, not so visible, not so prominent, not so in the face. But imagine a pencil without a lead. And I see a lot of times in the world out there today, not just in educational institutions, but even just in the general society, there's so much focus on the externals that we forget the very purpose to focus on the internals. Let me tell you a story. There was a balloon seller. And a little boy came up to the balloon seller and said, Uncle, ye red wala balloon upar jayega? The guy said, yeah. Black wala? Yeah. Pink wala? Yeah. And you know how kids can be, right? They ask funny questions and they give funny answers. Teachers know that very well. One little girl, 4-year-old, came to a shopkeeper and said, Uncle, मैं कैसी लगती हूँ? 4-year-old. The दुकानदार said, बहुत प्यारी लगती हो बिटिया. He said, तो अंकल मैं बड़ी हो जाऊंगी तो आप मेरी शादी आपके बेटे से करेंगे? She said, जरूर करेंगे बिटिया. She said, तो अंकल फिर आपके होने वाले बहू को एक free 5-star नहीं देंगे आप? Kids are kids, guys. This little one's asking, will the red balloon go up? Will the pink balloon go up? Will the yellow balloon go up? Will the black balloon go up? The balloon seller said, look, darling, the balloon doesn't go up based on its color. The balloon goes up in the air based on what's filled inside it, the gas. The color of the balloon is visible to the eyes. The gas inside is not. The casing of the pencil is visible to the eyes. The lead inside is Not unless it's brought out. But what really takes the balloon up there to the highest altitudes is the gas. And the world focuses so much on the colors that we forget that there's a gas in there. And which is why, to me, the colors of the balloon, the casing of the pencil is about skill set. And the gas inside the balloon, the lead, is about mindset. And good education is a combination of skill set and mindset. Educational institutions are expert in providing skill set. All our educators now need to come together in this time of dire need to see how we can impart to all our people who come to us the right kind of mindset. Because growth, satisfaction, contentment, success is no longer possible only by skill sets. Evolution to the highest levels in the world is no longer possible simply by skill sets. It was never possible, but today it's impossible. And which is precisely why skill set and mindset both need to go hand in hand. The casing of the pencil and the lead of the pencil, the color of the balloon and the gas inside the balloon, both need to be balanced thoroughly well. How many of you would like to look good, guys? Okay, those of you who are not raising their hands, they have the illusion that they look good. I'm so sorry, guys. I can't be too serious in my talks, okay? I can't be. I'm so sorry about it. I'm going to crack some silly, stupid jokes like these. Oh gosh. One teacher once came into the classroom and wrote on the board, I am beautiful. Which tense is it? One kid raised his hand and said, past tense, madam.